What's going on, legends? I wanted to do a video today talking about what Arsenal need this summer transfer window. I've used some time today to have a look at our squad as it stands, and we're light, people. We are seriously light. And I think the reality is that if I'm being genuinely honest, I think we actually need probably closer to 6 or 7 new players. Um, Particularly if something like Thomas Partey to Barcelona actually does happen. But we'll go into that a little bit more down the line on the video. But yeah, there's been a lot of conversations, obviously, naturally around, I guess, the slow start to the transfer window for Arsenal. And obviously, we're seeing the likes of Man City, Liverpool, Manchester United all starting to be quite active, whilst nothing really concrete seems to be coming out of the Arsenal camp as it stands. One piece of news that did break today, which was that Gabriel has signed a new long-term contract, which I think is a huge announcement. And I also think is a really good sign that the football club is holding the right type of ambition, because I think at the end of the day, Gabriel has turned himself into probably one of the top 5 defenders in world football at the moment. And I think there would be a lot of big clubs wanting him in their defence. So I think the fact that he's signed up to a long-term contract with Arsenal makes me think that they have painted a pretty attractive and ambitious project to him to get him to sign. So that's a really big win. And hopefully we can follow that up with, the likes of Saka and Saliba and Lewis Skelly. So yeah, that was a good win for today in terms of Arsenal and transfers or contracts. But I think the way I see it is the midfield concerns me. So there's a lot of conversation obviously going on about this striker position, which we all know we need, but the midfield is a worry. So as it stands, we have Partey, Rice, Marino, Odegaard. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 midfielders. Jorginho's gone. Obviously, Zubminendi, no one seems to have a clue what's going on there. So even if Zubminendi was to come in, I still think we're a player short. And if Thomas Partey was to go to Barcelona, then I think we need 2 players. I really do in that midfield. I think if Partey stays and Zubminendi signs, then right, we've got our 2 sixes. I think the reality is if Partey was to go to Barcelona, in order to replace him based on the level that he performed at last season, that's a 50 million player minimum. And I don't think there's a lot of players out there right now who would step into Arsenal's team next season and perform at the same level Partey did for most of last season. So we are very light on in midfield. From an attacking point of view, I think a big talking point will be around how is Nwaneri going to be used next season? Is he going to be used as that kind of backup to Saka on the right wing? Or is he going to be the Odegaard backup in that kind of 10 role? I think depending on what happens there will play a big part as to what else we need from an attacking standpoint. Without question, we need a striker. I mean, Havertz and Jesus. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Jesus. Obviously, he's coming off the back of 2 really major injuries, and he definitely wasn't the same player he was before the first one. So how is he going to be post this second injury? So it'll be interesting to see whether he even plays any sort of role in next season. But if he does, we need a 9. 100%. So that is not really worth debating. I think we definitely need a left-sided winger. So at the moment we have Martinelli and Trossard, and I think I would be tempted to keep both of them on the premise that I do think we're light in attack as well. So for example, if we were to manage to bring in a Rodrigo, for example, he would automatically kind of go into that starting left wing role, which means we would have Martinelli as a direct kind of competitor backup to the left wing. And then you've got someone like Trossard who, although has done probably his best work on the left wing, can also kind of float around central and kind of, somewhat play this kind of false nine role. So I think he offers some versatility that would be helpful, particularly if we are not in a position to kind of sign 5 or 6 players like I think we need to. Um, and then I think we need another creative midfielder. I think we need a goal scoring attacking 8 or 10. I think Odegaard's form last season was a real worry. I'm desperately clinging to the fact that it was just an off season that maybe was off the back of that nasty ankle injury, and he just never really recovered from it. And so I am hoping that he comes back full guns blazing next season. But I think the reality is, if he is off his game or is not playing well or is injured, we need someone who's going to be able to kind of replace his creativity. And okay, there's Ranieri, but he's still very young. And if he's going to be the kind of predominant backup to Saka on the right, then I don't think we've got that immediate Odegaard replacement. So for me, I think, again, I'm not great at kind of saying we need this guy, but someone like an Eze, for example, could kind of offer that versatility that I think will be really helpful moving into next season. He obviously can play on the left, but I think he can definitely play in that central attacking role, would definitely offer us a lot of creativity, likes to shoot from distance, has got a good free kick on him, and scores goals. And I think next season we need to add goals to this squad. We can't be relying on Saka to pluck out a wonder strike or save us, and I don't think we should be relying on the likes of Martinelli, Havertz, Jesus, because they haven't done it for us in the past. So why would we think that next season would be any different? So goalkeeper is another one. So at the moment, David Raya is the only kind of senior goalkeeper we have at the football club. I know we've got that Tommy Setford who we signed from Ajax, but he's still very young. So I think it'll be interesting to see whether Arteta placed kind of full trust in him to be our kind of immediate backup goalkeeper. I know there's been some stories come out today around Kepa, which, look, I think to sit on the bench and play the occasional cup game, I don't have an issue with that. So that makes sense to me. And then in terms of defense, I mean, on the left hand side, we're pretty stacked. So this is considering that I think Zinchenko will leave the football club. That still leaves us with Lewis Skelly, Timber, Calafiori. Obviously can play on the left side. Kivior has kind of played there as well, although obviously that's not his best position. And then Tomiyasu. I mean, you would like to think that Tomiyasu adds some kind of contribution levels to next season. Otherwise, I think he has to go. So on the basis that Tomiyasu comes back and is fully fit for next season, I think we're pretty good on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side of defense, I do think we're looking a little bit vulnerable in the sense that, okay, we have White and Timber, but if we pick up some injuries in that kind of central defense area or on the left-hand side, and all of a sudden Timber has to kind of go over to the left or White has to go central, then we are potentially a little bit light on that right-hand side. So we probably could even do with a right back or a right central defender coming in as well. And then obviously in the middle, we've got Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Kivior, are kind of the four that you would naturally turn to for that central defensive role. So again, if we can stay injury free, then I think we're quite good in defense, and I don't think we need to worry too much. But in saying that, if we do get some injuries, then we could all of a sudden find ourselves in a bit of a tricky position. So it'll be interesting to see whether he feels like he needs to add one more body into that defensive line. But as I kind of started off the video with, I think it's that midfield area where we really are very light. And I know the focus is all around the attacking front, but if Partey was to go, and can you imagine if Zubminendi turns around and goes to Madrid and Partey leaves as well? That means we're left with Rice, Marino, and Odegaard, 3 midfielders. So, I think we really need to kind of sort ourselves out in that situation. I think we need to get Thomas Partey to sign ASAP. I think we need to get Zubminendi in. And then I think we need to add another kind of 8 or 10 to that. So that means you would have Partey and Zubminendi as your 6. You'd have kind of Rice and Marino kind of hovering around that 8, can also do a job defensively as well. And then you've kind of got Odegaard on his own, which is why I think we really need to be going after a kind of creative, attack-minded central player. And then again, the 9 is not a question. And then I think left wing. And then I do think it's either this 10, creative 10, or it's a right winger if Nwaneri is going to be that creative 10 next season. So there's a lot of work to be done. And Mr. Berta, Arteta, the ownership group, they're going to be busy. They are going to be very, very busy. That's if they want to win the Premier League or the Champions League next year. If that's the real goal, then we will have to make, I believe, a minimum of 5 quality signings. I genuinely believe that, because we came out and admitted that our squad was light this season. So based on the players that are potentially leaving or already have left, then I think minimum of 5 players. I really do. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it as it stands. I'm not panicking yet. I'm getting a little bit frustrated, I won't lie, as I mentioned in my previous video. But I'm hoping that once this World Club Cup is kind of wrapped up, that we might start to see some action. So yeah, let's wait and see. And then we can start to make some judgments towards the end of the window. But yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts. I'd love to know who you think we should be signing, who should be going, who should be staying. But most importantly, I'd love to know what you think about that kind of creative 10 to kind of compete with Odegaard. I'd love to know who you think on the left wing we should be looking at if it's not the superstar Rodrigo. And I'd love to know whether you're Sesko, Gyökeres, or someone else in the 9. So yeah, drop your thoughts in the comments, and we can chat about it in the next video. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.